Hi, this is Justin with Stonelink Property Management. I want to give you a quick voiceover to the email you're receiving regarding 7 bills that we were made aware of by the Rhode Island Coalition of Housing Providers that is going to be heard this Thursday, March 2nd at 5 p.m. You as landlords have an opportunity to have your voice heard, and you should pay attention to some of these bills because they can impact your status as a landlord, your rights as a landlord, and how you can operate your properties as an investor and as a landlord. To begin with, Bill H5362 will require 4-month notice, that's 120 days for rent increases on a month-to-month tenant. Currently, the law is 30 days notice. So this is being billed as a form of rent control. Rent control has never been instituted in the state of Rhode Island, so this is very, very impactful. 4 to 5 months, according to the Coalition of Housing Providers, is deemed excessive. And it's going to have far-reaching impacts as new policies would have to be adjusted. It would limit the amount of time that you would be able to notify a resident of a rental increase, and 4 months notice is a significant increase over the existing 30-day notice. The second bill, H5514, allows tack-on service for termination, non-compliance, and other 20-day cases. This is something that the Rhode Island Coalition of Housing Providers is supporting because it will reduce the cost for housing providers and tenants. So it's seen as a positive. So that's a good news story. Bill H5579 allows the termination of residential lease by a domestic abuse victim. So essentially, if there is a resident or a tenant that is in one of your apartments or in a home that's renting from you and they're on the lease, if they are a victim of domestic abuse, it would allow them to terminate their lease without penalty. It would keep the abuser on the lease and in place, so that has implications in and of itself. Essentially, it's giving rights to the abuse victim to remove themselves from that situation if that occurs. Bill H5580, you're not allowed now to collect an application fee. So the implications of this: in order to properly screen tenants, we pull credit checks, we do criminal history background, more on that later. There's a whole bunch of steps that are taken because you as landlords understand that screening of tenants is very, very highly leveraged. It's an extremely important part of the process. Not allowing an application fee to be collected, even when there are hard costs incurred, because there's no credit reporting agencies that don't charge you for credit pulls and other background checks. Those are hard costs. Those fees are going to have to get passed on somewhere else, typically in terms of rental increases or other areas. But right now, the bill H5580 would not allow any fee to be collected for application processing. The next bill, H5690, requires a housing provider to pay interest on a tenant security deposit, 5% per year, or what we actually receive from the bank. This is very similar to what's in the state of Massachusetts already. I can tell you from a property manager standpoint and as a real estate investor just like yourself, this is something that actually is very impactful. The administrative responsibility to pay out what it equates to pennies on the dollar of interest on a yearly basis, and the penalties that go along with that in the state of Massachusetts are onerous, to say the least. It does create an extremely administrative taxing process. We've experienced this ourselves. We don't really see a benefit to this for residents or for property owners because of the administrative costs and overhead. And while it's good intentions, people want to be able to earn interest on their money, the amount of money at stake here is so little as to make the administrative costs burdensome. Bill H5691 will prohibit you from raising rent for more than once a year. Again, they are positioning this as a form of rent control. It's pretty atypical to increase rent in our experience on a resident more than once a year. There can be reasons to do so, but this bill would prohibit your ability to increase rents more than once a year regardless. And violation of this bill would be considered a criminal act which in and of itself has far-reaching implications. Even if it was an oversight on your part, if you were managing your property on your own, or you just decided to send a rental increase more than once in that year, they could prosecute you criminally. The last bill, H576 Fair Chance in Housing Act. They consider this, they being the Rhode Island Coalition of Housing Providers, the most dangerous bill of the night. It's a very long, complicated bill. It has two parts. The first part is you can't check criminal records initially, and the second is you can't check credit initially. Without going into the real details of this bill, it would severely impact your ability and our ability as a property manager to properly screen residents. This is far-reaching for not only yourselves as housing providers, for us as property managers, but also for the residents themselves. Because obviously they want to make sure that the person moving into their left, person moving into their right, the person on the floor above or below is somebody that they would actually want to share space with. In which case that they're an upstanding member of a community, they're going to pay their bills on time, just like they do, that they don't have serious criminal history background that could be a safety hazard for them or their family. So that bill in particular is something that we really are paying attention to. You have a voice. You have the ability to contact the Judiciary Committee. You can write an email. You can call. You can reach out to your state representative. The details of how to do this are in this email, but I wanted to give you a quick voiceover to the bills themselves. I appreciate your time and attention to this matter. I urge you to read through the email to familiarize yourself with the bills. And if you have questions, reach out to us. Thank you so much.